Hello and welcome back to, don't even know. Honestly, I don't even know what we should call this one today. This is just a impromptu emergency pre-Nvidia workout.
Neil, I had some errors. Can you hear me just fine?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, this is considered the third or fourth breakfast of the day, and so we can continue with that breakfast time theme or whatever lunchtime theme we normally go with.
Yeah, I mean, in a couple of hours we will have Nvidia report today. Let me just show you the state of the stock market at the moment. Okay, Nvidia is up 0.62%. Then as for the rest, we've got some red, but it's not, it looks deep red, but it's just deep red because, well, most of the stocks are just flat for today. So yeah, what do you think? Flat day for Nvidia going into the report.
Honestly, I'm shocked right now. I feel like most other reports, and maybe I'm just losing my mind, but we kind of see that kind of acceleration before the earnings call, but it's pretty flat at the moment. And yeah, I'm excited for today's event, Neil. I think this is one of the first few earnings. I talked about it in my previous episode and show. This is one of the first few earnings where Nvidia is the only one that can answer the question that is in everybody's mind. And I do believe that's kind of the Chinese, what happens after this loss of the Chinese market, right? Because I've talked about it before, Neil. Every other stream earnings in the past, we've had some form of question from Nvidia. You've kind of had like the DeepSeek question. You've had the AI demand question. You've had a lot of other questions about the AI space. The great thing is all those questions, Neil, were kind of answered by the big customers of Nvidia. The DeepSeek moment, you already knew that DeepSeek wasn't that crazy of a thing after Microsoft, Google, and Meta and Amazon all kind of showcased that demand was still strong. So when you had the question about AI demand, you saw their capex growing. So every other earnings, in my opinion, Neil, had a preemptive. The main question was answered by the big customers. This time, the biggest question, in my opinion, that analysts are expecting is how much of an impact is this Chinese hurdle of the H20 ban going to be for the company, and how much is the UAE tailwind going to be, and how quickly is that tailwind going to come? Because we saw all those massive UAE announcements, but we don't know exactly when that tailwind is it going to come quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4? When are we going to start to see that money from the UAE Stargate projects and all those data center projects? So this is one of the first few earnings, Neil, since this whole AI momentum has started, that Nvidia is the only one that can give us the peace of mind of the questions that is really kind of affecting the stock in the short term of things, Neil. I think in the long term of things, we still have kind of all those bullish tailwinds that I really in the long term at the moment I have no questions at all. It's more of just that short term thought process of how the stock can move after earnings.
Do you think that the Singapore part could also negatively affect the report, or maybe the next the guidance? And then we'll answer Sagik's question here.
Yeah, and first shout out. I mean, Neil, I think this is the first time we started without saying hi to everybody joining us. So welcome to everybody joining the stream here. Neil and I, we do streams, trying to do them pretty often. So make sure to stay tuned to either of our channels, most likely both of our channels, as we both would say provide some great insight into the semiconductor space and other industries as well. So make sure to stay tuned. So make sure to get those questions. Hopefully we can answer them. With the Singapore, Neil, I don't think there's gonna be much pressure from this segment. I think Nvidia has done plenty of, I don't know if it's PR, but understanding of how their revenue is recognized. I think the All In podcast was the one that got me a little bit mad a few weeks ago. Was it that one, Neil? Not the whole podcast, just one person in there who was really trying to like badmouth. Who was really trying to.
But he did correct himself.
Yes, so they did correct it after Nvidia kind of really sent them information about it. And so I think that that discussion in the Singapore, while there are some loopholes, I don't think it's as big as the market or some investors might fear. So it's not something that I would really be worried about in Singapore revenue. I think the biggest question is we've seen, Neil, analysts reduce their revenue guidance for quarter 2 because of the H20 ban. Now, again, this is one of the first few times that NVIDIA is the only one that's going to be able to answer this question. So if analysts were underestimating the pain of the Chinese market, the stock would drop. If they were overestimating, I think the stock can actually really rally just on the guidance number alone. I think that is the biggest question. I don't think anyone's really questioning what's the long-term thesis for this company. I think that's pretty much been in store for a while now.
Agreed. I was just reading the question here. So, do you expect Nvidia to give more details today on the recent partnerships they announced last week regarding ASICs and XPUs? I think it's less partnership. Well, yeah, partnership, but more of the announcements of the NVLink Fusion part. I think you said something yesterday that we hope they talk about it during the call and give us maybe more information at how advanced these talks are.
Yeah, this is one that I'm curious about. I don't know if they're going to really talk about it during this earnings. I do believe this is a very detailed and niche question. And I believe this NVLink Fusion 72 is a really great market opportunity for them. Remember, they're not trying to help AI scalers build AI chips. This is for those that already have their AI chips or some form of solution, that now they can integrate it into this hyperscale AI infrastructure to be able to connect them all dramatically. So it's a little bit different than like a complete Broadcom or Marvell. It is kind of like a unique market within the ASIC space. There's only a few amount of people or companies that are willing that make ASIC solutions. We saw some with Qualcomm already, Fujitsu, and then the big tech players. So in my opinion, Neil, for them to release something like this, you only have at the moment maybe a few handfuls of customers, if that can do it. So if NVIDIA is going to release this, it's because they have the traction from a lot of potential customers, and it could actually be a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for them. So I really hope we get more color in them about that market. But Neil, normally we don't hear this kind of technical discussions too much unless some analysts really prize on this, and I'm hoping someone does. If not, they got to call me in and let me ask some questions during the earnings call.
I mean, maybe it is about time that you get caught during the stream. I mean, hopefully we get some answer. I know there've been some questions about Tempest AI today. Just to go switch to something else for a second here. It's down, I believe, 17, close to 18%
Oh wow.
today on a short seller report. Tempest gained traction at the start of this year because Nancy Pelosi had a call option position that was, I think, at $20 or something like that. So even today, she's still the GOAT and doing quite well. Honestly, I still did not have time to read the report, so maybe I'll do that later today. Actually, not later today, because later today we have Nvidia and Chelsea playing a final, so I doubt I'll do anything else. But yeah, maybe it will be for another day. Predictions for revenue.
And hold on, this is a video I think you've talked about in your channel before, right? So if anybody needs more information, definitely check out his channel for Tempest. It's one that obviously, I mean, Nancy needs to release that Discord group right away so we can all make money. But until then.
Until then, exactly. And funny enough, this is also a stock that ARK Invest have been loading up on in the last couple of weeks. So I guess those that want to see Cathy Woods again fail, I guess a short seller report will do that. Although I do think that they've been loading up when it was a bit lower as well. So there is that. Quickly turning to the prediction side of things for Nvidia. Maybe that could be interesting because someone says here, what does everyone think revenue is going to come at? I'm at $45 billion. I mean, the company gave us 43. Analysts are also around $43 billion. You've got that China impact as well that you have to take into consideration for afterwards.
Yeah. So Neil, I wonder. There's a few things that for quarter one, I think I'm gonna go with Leroy. Then I'm a little bit over the guidance that the company gave and what analysts are expecting. Like you mentioned, I think that they're closer to 43. I think there are a few tailwinds that can help this out in for Nvidia. First, I do believe there was some whiff of the export restrictions coming for the Chinese market, and it could be really. It could be a possible thing that the Chinese players got the hurt of it and kind of continue to overbuy chips before the export restriction went on, and they could have kind of created kind of a front load effect. So that could be one of the tailwinds that can help this company beat that $43 billion in the data center side. I want to say in the consumer side, there's also that excitement with the RTX 50 series, the Blackwell GPU series, and the laptop series, even though you hear a lot of negative sentiments about that. And it is a small position, but even it is a small part of the business now compared to it was before. But even an extra 500 million there, or an extra 100 million there, due to maybe better sales on some of their Blackwell consumer products, could actually help kind of beat that 43 billion. So I do believe you have at least those two tailwinds that can help get closer to that over 44, closer to the. I wouldn't say Leroy is crazy for $45 billion in thinking in it. I don't know what my number would be, but I wouldn't say 45 is crazy. If passing 45, I think that is definitely maybe pipe streams though.
Do you remember by how much they beat last quarter? Not by much, right? I don't think by much.
Yeah, I don't think by much, but I do think one thing last quarter, Neil, is we were really having that transition phase of the Blackwell architecture. And I think that one is coming in. It's right. They still had a crazy quarter in Blackwell last quarter, but I think this is at least for like the B200. This is what was a really strong quarter. I mean, we saw a lot of big cloud server providers put their systems live, and when you put their systems live, it takes a few weeks to kind of get the system online and get that shipped. So I'm pretty sure most of those things were kind of in forms of revenue would most likely impact quarter one. So the Blackwell architecture was a nice tailwind and can help accelerate maybe some of that growth where they maybe didn't see too much growth in the previous quarter.
Okay, so I actually have the number here. So they surprised by 3.13% on the upside last quarter, according to the numbers that I'm seeing right here. So makes sense, right? Makes sense. We're not going to get those huge differences anymore like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, so I mean, we're seeing a lot of. We have 45 to 46. We have SmackDown estimate 43.4. We have Cash predicting 44 billion. So I do think it's gonna be beat the expectations. But I do want to say, Neil, this is a quarter where I think every quarter is like this, and it's really kind of a repeat. But they're going to be quarter in earnings and revenue. Earnings is going to look a little funky, Neil, because they're taking the $5 billion write-off hit. It's not really a cash expense, but you're writing it off, so it is kind of a bottom line expense. So if you're going to look at the GAAP basis, margins are going to drop dramatically. You're going to see GAAP probably gross margins closer to 50% on a GAAP basis. I would say don't let that scare you. What's going to be more crucial is most likely they're going to provide the non-GAAP margins, excluding that one-time write-off of the thing. I think that's going to be another critical number if we continue to see more closer to that 70%, which they kind of guided for. I think there's no real change. So I think the market is already expecting revenues and earnings to beat. I think the real question for this earnings is guidance on the Chinese space, or not the Chinese space, but guidance now that the Chinese market is pretty much completely gone for now.
For now, but could come back. The question is when, of course. The question is when. I mean, it's going to be interesting, right? The 200-day moving average sits at $119 at the moment. If I just do my Picasso work here, that's a 13% move on the downside. Now, the market expects an 8% move after earnings. So could we revisit 200? I don't know. We could also go the other way around. The other way around would be, I mean, that's 8%, be 148 or so. So quite close to all-time highs. Again, to be honest, I couldn't care less what happens with those candles, because this doesn't tell me anything about the business. The report and the financials will tell me way more. But would you mind seeing a pullback? And of course, and then with that, of course, I have to answer this question about Nebius, because it's true that, let's say, if an Nvidia goes down, then it probably takes down CoreWeave and Nebius and all the other Nvidia attached AI related stocks with it. To answer the question, would I mind? Because Nebius today, well, it's actually at $40. Would I mind seeing Nebius go back down a bit? No, I wouldn't. It's still not a big enough position for me, so I wouldn't mind having Nebius pull back a little bit. And it's overbought on the daily. So could we see it pull back? There is a little gap here in the low 30s. Maybe. I mean, not all gaps get filled. Most of them do. So we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't mind Nebius at 30. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, I think a lot of these AI companies, especially those that are pretty new to the market, like or at least new to the excitement of the market, like Nebius and CoreWeave, are definitely going to move. Supermicro, Dell Technologies, are especially those below the $100 billion market cap, are going to move dependent on this earnings. Obviously, if it is a massive boost, it's going to create kind of a nice bullish sentiment for everybody in theory. But I think the ones that are going to see the most correlations or the most volatility are going to be kind of like those AI plays. Now, Neil, I do have a question for you. I would say sometimes this occurs that I follow this company too closely, that I kind of have like what it's called when you focus on something too much, you have kind of like that horse race vision.
Tunnel
I know
vision.
you follow, so I know you follow Nvidia, especially now with your your super massive one share position. But what are you looking for in forms of earnings? Maybe I don't mean this in a weird way, but I feel like I'm just too in deep of it, where sometimes I might just ignore what maybe the general investor might be looking for into this company. So what are you looking for from earnings here? Again, I know you follow it a little bit more closely, but would love to hear some of your thoughts here.
Yeah, so as a massive institutional investor of one share of Nvidia, what I'm looking for, well, it's obviously, to me, the most important part is that the story, the AI story continues, because it affects all the other companies that I do own, right? Especially the AMDs, the Metas, the Alphabet, because everybody's spending billions of dollars on AI infrastructure, on GPUs, on data center build outs. So in order for that story to make sense, of course, you have to see the number one guy, which is Nvidia, continue to show strength, continue to grow. If they show any signs of weakness, I can probably bet $100 that everything goes down heavily, maybe even more than 100. That's my edge here. Like if my portfolio goes down, I win my $100 back. Because that's the question that everybody's been asking actually for the last couple of years, right? What's the return on investment? Of course, the return on investment for Nvidia has been quite good, right? As we can see. But for all the rest, yet to be seen. Okay, we have the Palantirs. You can say maybe Google Meta with advertising, that's they're helping them out as well. So they can already measure the return on investment. But me as a as an Nvidia shareholder with one share, but not as a really serious one, I just need to hear, well, that the story continues. There still is plenty of demand. When we look at what did they say? The automotive robotics platform. So everything that encompasses those two things is already at $5 billion. Has that grown massively? Yes or no? Because that's the next thing. Physical AI, something that Jensen has been talking about for a while. We've seen humanoid robots pop out every single week. Now I see other videos of crazy robots fighting each other, actually. There was one video in China, I believe, where they actually put them in the ring. My dream scenario. WWE robots. That's $1 billion business right there. Dana White, contact me. But yeah, that's it. Then in the short term, everything we've been talking about, right? The China story, Middle East, because that's also affecting my companies, the likes of AMD and Intel as well, although Intel stuck at $20 for a while now, but still green for the year for some crazy reason. So yeah, so that's basically my view of things, looking at Nvidia, and I do have to add, maybe not, maybe in this stream, maybe for tomorrow, something about OpenAI, because I don't know if you had the time to watch Emily Chang's from Bloomberg, The Circuit, the 33-minute episode. I'll send you the link later. Talking about that Stargate project and the build out in Texas and everything else, and it's like, book, light bulb moment. But yeah, I'll come back to that later.
You can't leave me like that for a whole 24 hours, Neil. Now I gotta go watch this show.
We're still here for another hour, so.
I didn't know you mentioned you were gonna bring it up in tomorrow's stream. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a great thing to remember, is this is a company that's impacting every kind of technological shift. So even if you're not an Nvidia shareholder, right, you can kind of get some pocket of wisdoms in how the robotics market is innovating, how the autonomous market is innovating, how these other industries, we get to hear a little bit more, maybe how agentic AI solutions are pretty close to maybe finally doing some cool work and stuff like that. So even as a non-NVIDIA investor, these presentations are, even though there's so much hype for it, Neil, we get so much hype for it. People get so excited, but during the earnings call itself, they're like, this is one of the most boringest craps I've ever heard in my life. Because Jensen, at the end of the day, he's an engineer. He's not a rock star. He's just trying to really showcase his vision. And sometimes that vision is more numerical and logical engineering style thinking, where the earnings call is pretty boring. I'm just going to say, if anybody's going to stay tuned for some of the earnings call live streams.
Let's not forget the mic from Timu.
Yeah, the famous mic. I want that mic. It's definitely going to make an appearance here. It sucks. They have so many even software solutions that can help their mic studio. I don't know why they don't integrate it. So that is the biggest bearish thesis, in my opinion.
I mean, I've said it. I've said it last quarter. I've said the quarter before that, and I'm probably going to say it tonight as well. I just don't get those earnings calls. I don't understand why you cannot have normal audio. Forget about Nvidia. Everyone else, like, okay, there are a select few that have good audio, but why does it feel like they're all using a dial phone, like for phone like this? Like,
Nvidia is scared that its competitors are listening to the phones in during the when they're innovating and stuff. So they probably have like some old phones that can't get hacked or something like that.
I do quickly want to touch on a stock that did explode today. Was up 34% at one point, but it's now only up 15%. I'll
Wow,
give
what
you
is that?
I'll give you a guess. It's you can guess it because it is on screen.
I can't see it, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be CoreWeave or Navitas.
No, it is on
Navitas.
it is on screen already right now.
I don't see it. You're not sharing anything. Is it a joke? Am I missing something?
Maybe the audience knows already what I'm about to show, and then you will say, "Oh,
All right, I'm gonna say, what is it, Neil?
uh,
I still can't see. I have the live thingy blocking me.
it's what I'm wearing." Abercrombie and Fitch.
Oh wow! This is the other kind of AI stock that dominates.
No, but it was down 50% going into this report from their highs, as you can see right here.
Mhm.
And today the stock jumped, like I said, 35% when the market opened. And this is the 200-day moving average. Clearly not enough buyers. So whoop, and now we're only up 14%. So yeah, Matthew nailed it. Yes, Matthew guessed it.
Nailed it. Yeah, Matthew's the goat, man. You can't come into me having my mind in tech space and then talk to me about some boring clothing company. You can't.
Well,
You can't switch me up like that. You're like,
here, look.
I'm like, you got something in. Oh man. But yeah, there were a few things that I heard. I just saw here Reels Unity pop. It seems like there were a few companies that moved a nice amount today. Let me even open up. Let me open up my stuff real quick.
Yeah, Unity is up today 15%, and now it's back to prices not seen since what 2020.
That one, yeah. Let's see what else. Let me open up TradingView on my end just so I can provide some stuff outside of Nvidia right now.
I wonder what happened with Unity. It's crazy that it's still in the 20s.
Yeah.
After all this time, it's still in the 20s. But I guess it makes sense. AMD made an acquisition, by the way.
Oh, I did see that. I forget. For optics packaging. So it does seem like
acquired silicon photonics company Semi to boost its co-packaging and artificial intelligence prowess.
So this definitely seems to be the next kind of move of how to improve kind of the network activity. We've seen or kind of reduce the best. To me, Neil, I don't know if you remember in GTC, NVIDIA released some new kind of co-packaging solution, which in theory, what it ends up doing is what these companies, Neil, are really trying to do is reduce the amount of wires and other types of components like digital, like DSPs, to increase. So you're reducing other components because other components you still need some form of power to power them. So if you start to reduce these other components out of a server, now you're reducing the amount of power needed in theory to build that server. So because you have extra power, you're going to be able to put more GPUs because now you have extra power to plug them in. So it definitely seems to be the move where we're getting to those million GPU clusters. I mean, Elon's talked about it, but when you're looking at those massive GPU clusters, Neo, the only real thing to really start doing is trying to see how you can create some efficiency by removing components to reduce some of that power to be even able to add even more GPUs to the market. So I think it's actually a pretty smart acquisition. I haven't read through it, but on a top level overview, it's something that seems to be needed for this next leg of the AI space.
I mean, it seems like they've been making some nice strategic moves over the past couple of years, right? We've got Pensando, we've got ZT Systems, now we've got this one. I probably forgot one. Okay, Xilinx was the big one, of course, as well. Did they acquire some? Probably they also acquired a smaller AI startup, I think, no, over the past, what is it, year or so. So yeah, they've been making a couple of strategic moves. I think it's all in anticipation of that big year 2026. 2026 MI400 series, I think, is going to be a big deal for them. Let me share.
How dare you talk about AMD during Nvidia Day, Matthew? Get them, get everybody, get how dare you? Today is Nvidia's day. No, I agree, Neil. I think this is great for. I think the MI400 is definitely going to see some great market opportunities. Is this their press release for the acquisition, Neil?
Yes, sir. This is basically it, and they basically say this right here. As AI models grow larger and more complex, the need for faster, more efficient data movement is accelerating. To meet this evolving demand, particularly at the rack scale, optical interconnect offer a compelling path forward. Co-packaged optics can deliver higher bandwidth density and better power efficiency than traditional approaches. So basically what you've been rambling about for the last couple of minutes. No, so I mean, it does seem like they are positioning themselves for a huge couple of years ahead. And again, we're probably going to hear way more 2.5 weeks from now, during that June 12 event, which we probably will stream the Lisa Su part of it. Maybe not the rest, but the Lisa Su part keynote, I think we'll do that. But yeah, going back to Nvidia, because Matthew is saying the more you buy, the more you save. This is the Nvidia Jensen slogan.
Yeah, I wonder if let's just one more. Today we had that AMD event. I forget who, TD Cohen maybe it was. They had. So I wonder if they even share some more thoughts about this acquisition there. So again, today's busy, but for any AMD investors out there, either Neil or I or both will probably cover this acquisition, maybe some of the information from the press and the conference event that happened today. I feel like I had a question for you, but now I forgot it. So give me one quick second to scroll up in. Let me see where
I do have to correct myself because I did release an AMD video today, but I touched on the fact that Amazon has a position in AMD today, but I didn't say that the reason why they have a position. So someone corrected me in the comments, so I have to correct myself right now. They have a position in AMD because AMD acquired ZT Systems and Amazon had a position in ZT System. Now, Amazon could have just not bought AMD shares, but they did. Plus, they're the number one sponsor on the AMD AI event. AWS, Lenovo, SMCI, Oracle as well. No Azure or Meta, by the way.
Yeah. Give me one quick second, Neil. I got to do something super quick, so feel free to take it. Let me turn off screen for 1 second.
I'll give you 2 seconds. In the meantime, maybe I can share why Tempest AI is down.
Sorry about that. That was 2.5 seconds. My apologies, Neil. I actually didn't know that Amazon was a big sponsor of that thing. I actually, Neil, got contacted by Amazon's PR team because I did a video talking about that Amazon was bought, had a CT system, and I kind of mentioned that one of the reasons could be a potential kind of like AI story for Amazon and AMD. And then when someone's like, hey, just letting you know, this is not true at all. I'm like, okay, I guess it's not that.
Then,
But
but at least they're watching.
yeah, they're watching. That was wild, right? I'm like, this is the first time someone from higher ups, and it's not like it's a small company; it's $1 trillion company. They actually emailed me like 2 or 3 times, and I was just like, I'm always in vacation mode, so it took me a while to respond. But they were pretty chill
Reminds me.
about it. They're like, yeah, it's just not true. So I had to update it a few days after. But I'm making it big, Neil. I'm making it big. You're gonna get an
Yeah.
email probably pretty soon too.
I mean, I already got one a couple of years ago from Netflix, actually, when I talked about Disney and their subscription, and the moment that their subscriptions surpassed the total amount of Netflix subscribers. But actually, one subscription for Disney does not equal one subscriber for Netflix. It's actually one person that can have 3 subscriptions, and they count it as 3, not as 1, which is a bit misleading. So I had to correct myself, and I was like, okay, thanks for watching the video.
It's pretty cool. I mean, to see some of these things, like, and sometimes, right, we have like sponsored videos, right, that make it outside, but this one was like a raw video. It was like not sponsored by anybody, so it just made it into the wild for these Amazon players. So, pretty cool. Um, let's see what here. I like J Money. J Money. I like that name. My name starts with a J, and I want money. So, do either of you invest in Oracle? If so, where do you see the company long term? Neil, I don't know if you own, but I know about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer. You talked about. We actually both did a video around similar timeframes, kind of talking about some of the bullish cases for Oracle. I did purchase J Money. I own it. One of the things that really excites me about this is when I was looking at it, Neo, and I don't know if you remember too, is it was a company that was not growing by much. Revenue was growing at like single digits, and I don't know if it still is, but the or AI infrastructure, or the OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, was picking up. And it was picking up, and I looked at it, and I believed that eventually it was going to become very big due to the AI innovation, and eventually that growth rate will still somewhat continue at high levels, and they'll be able to start to move that top line number of revenue growth. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. So I do believe there's long term potential in Oracle. This is one of those stocks I bought during the April crash. I increased my position in Oracle. I don't know what stock price it is right now, so I can't say if I would be adding at these levels. But for me, Oracle is being being extremely aggressive, Neo, in building AI infrastructure. It's being, in my opinion, compared to its size, more aggressive than Google, more aggressive than Microsoft, more aggressive than Amazon. Now, that aggressiveness comes with two sides of the story. If the aggressiveness is because of their huge demand, and that huge demand picks up, then this company is going to benefit dramatically. If it's being too aggressive and things slow down, this one's going to take a hit. So that's where I think it's going to be the biggest impact for where the stock is in the foreseeable future. But we do have that massive OpenAI contract with them. Microsoft, like I mentioned, still aggressive, but it's not being that aggressive anymore. It doesn't want to be the wallet of OpenAI anymore. It wants Oracle to be the wallet. And in return, Oracle is able to see that revenue growth. We saw that Stargate project here in the United States. We see the Stargate project in UAE, Neo. And there's some rumors that eventually we're going to see some form of trade deal between US and Japan. And one of the things I talked about it in my video yesterday is Japan, based on unsighted sources, or on whatever sources, however they say the name, but in this trade deal that eventually will come with Japan, Japan is going to buy a lot of chips from the United States. And one of the biggest assets right now, Neo, for the United States is pretty much Nvidia and OpenAI in forms of AI innovation and AI push, and a lot of the cloud server providers. So I do believe what's going to happen is, as we start to see more trade deals with other parts of the world, we're going to see more Stargate projects. And Stargate projects is going to be really good for Oracle in the long term. So yeah, that is my sense on Oracle. I don't know if you want to share yours after me rambling, Neil.
No, I don't own it, but I remember we both talked about it right around here, I'd say, start of 2024. So around 50% ago. So yeah, not a bad story. Although it did run too high. I think it experienced the same thing Broadcom experienced, right? Okay, one great quarter, and then suddenly it just kept going up and up and up and up. Um, then it corrected itself. It's now on its way up as well. The backlog is insane. The backlog for Oracle is insane. And that should already tell you what's going to happen in the future, right? Because right now, yes, it's true that it's not growing as fast as the others. But if you look at the backlog, which was what, close to $100 billion by now, something like that.
Yeah, 160, I think, Neo, and they've even mentioned that this type of backlog still hasn't even included any of the Stargate projects, which they
Exactly.
believe what is going something's going straight up. I don't know what's going straight up. Matthew, give me some answers really quick.
Nvidia is up 1.2%.
I wonder if there's some trade. Let me pull off CNBC really quick to see.
No, SMCI, people are saying it's up a lot, but it's up also just 1.5%.
Yeah, these guys, don't do that to me. All right, don't do that. Don't give me a heart attack beforehand. Boom, 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 boom.
I'm not seeing anything specific.
Yeah, usually Twitter is actually the best place to see anything crazy.
Yeah, especially BS.
Yeah, that's a lot of truth. Oh man, don't get me started, Neil. I'm about to rage.
Breaking news. Nothing happened.
Oh my god, Neil.
You know what was funny was at the start, not at the start, on Tuesday, suddenly I start seeing a lot of posts saying, "Oh, breaking, the UAE will give ChatGPT Plus for free to its citizens," and I was like, "We talked about this already last week."
Yeah, this is. It's a lot of weird stuff always happens. Let's see. What else do we
People say
have?
it's the FOMC meeting, something.
Yeah, I think it most likely is going to be something macro related. Neil, one thing for semiconductor investors, if they care, we do see two companies that are kind of down today in the semiconductor space. Cadence, ticker CDNS, that one's down nearly 4% right now, Neil. And the other company is Synopsys.
It reports
That
today, no?
Yes, this one reports today, and I do some of the channels that I follow, Neil, are seeing that the Chinese market, Siemens, which is another really big player in kind of EDA, is and
Siemens.
yeah, my apologies. There is kind of leaving the Chinese market right now. They're ending some of the services due to some export restriction fears that their EDA is not going to be able to be moved to China anymore, and more restrictions on that software side. So you're seeing kind of Cadence and all these other players down about a few on those rumors. I don't think we've had any confirmations, but more EDA restrictions in China seems to be impacting that industry right now.
Yeah, I've seen a report. I think just an article on CNBS this morning about ASML and the hit that they've taken because of this China story. Let's see. Stocks. Nothing much has changed here. Fed worried it could face difficult trade-offs if tariffs re-aggravate inflation. Okay, thank you.
Bullish, bullish, bullish. Buy, buy, buy.
I mean, that's nothing new. But yeah, I wanted to show
CNBC breaking news: Nvidia stock may go up or down today. Buy, 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 buy.
Tempest AI. Went to Perplexity, not sponsored, but maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah. Although I doubt they'll sponsor two guys that are bullish on Google. Although I did get it for free, so I guess maybe yes. So Tempest AI is down today primarily due to the release of a highly critical short seller report from Spruce Point Capital Management.
Big firm. Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Okay. So the short report allegation accused Tempest AI and its founder of a pattern of promoting disruptive tech companies, cashing out early, and leaving public shareholders with poor returns. I mean, would they do this? Would Nancy Pelosi do this to us? I don't think so. The report also alleged aggressive and suspicious accounting practices, including questionable adjusted EBITDA calculations and potentially circular cash flows between related parties. I think we've seen that a lot, especially in the GPU game. Um, those nice little circles of I buy from you, you invest in me, and the money goes round and round and round. Minimal AI revenue, despite its rebranding as an AI company, it's called Tempest AI. The report highlighted that less than 2% of Tempest AI total revenue came from AI applications, suggesting a disconnect between its branding and actual business performance. That's the weakest argument that I've heard in a long, long time. We can maybe put a list of countless companies that brand themselves as AI, but actually it's not AI at all. It's just software as a service that just get rebranded. Who cares? Then concerns over management and product integrity. The report questions the integrity of Tempest AI's product demonstrations, data accuracy, and the backgrounds of several board members, some of whom have been linked to previous financial scandals. Okay. I mean, this is just a summary, so of course the report is
there's probably
more in
more,
depth.
but I mean, I think I don't know, for a lot of these AI companies right now, Neil, I think you would expect not much revenue. I think this is, it's emerging technology, at least for them. I'm not saying, I mean, I don't know. I think just the branding itself is such a weak counter argument to why one should short the stock. As long as they kind of tell you pretty strongly in kind of their press release and earnings release, like what is really happening. If they don't say AI revenue is 100%, then I think that is pretty dumb. I mean, but
I mean, I'll show you. So this is basically it. Wait, let me move our nice faces to the other side. This is basically how they generate revenue. Through genomics revenue and data and services revenue. Okay, genomics revenue right now is the biggest part. Data and services was $61.9 million last quarter. The growth rates, as you can see, genomics is growing faster, but data and services still growing over 43% year over year. And again, it's not the argument that, revenue from AI is only a small percent. It's the whole underlying business that's supposed to be using artificial intelligence, which then powers these two segments right here. So yeah, I don't know. Their argument is quite strange. This is still a company that is growing quickly. Of course, again, I don't know if you have to pay the price that it is at today, $53. I don't know. Market cap $11.4 billion. That's up to each and every one. Annually, last 12 months, they generated $803 million. So yeah, you're paying a premium, I guess, but you're paying a premium for a company that is growing quite quickly, that might become bigger in the future, might not. But if Nancy has a position, then I guess this is the bull case.
Yeah, definitely, Neil. I mean, this one's going to be interesting. I mean, a lot of people follow this right now, at least in forms of the retail space. So it's going to be, in my opinion, a volatile one. Neil, I have a few questions here I wouldn't mind taking. So, PJ, just out of curiosity, we were talking about how we've had companies before email us out for maybe some corrections. The Amazon was one of the only ones I've ever had. And no, NVIDIA has never reached out to me to correct me on anything, just because I'm the GOAT when it comes to NVIDIA. There was another one here, Vinicius. Jose, to be honest, based on chances less than 3 NVIDIA earnings, the stock price went down. What do you think now? So, I mean, I think we covered this. My thought process on this, Neil, is we talked about it at the beginning of the episode where I think NVIDIA's every other earnings have had some wondering about the market or what's going to happen with NVIDIA. All the other big tech players were able to answer for NVIDIA. I think here the Chinese market only Nvidia can answer this question directly. So if they do answer this pretty good, and they show us that the Chinese market is non-needed, at least for now, until we get that massive tailwind from UAE, I think there's a chance the stock can definitely go up. Now, I think it's really going to depend on the kind of movement of the Chinese space, or what they have to say in that commentary. Now, in the long term, I'm still very bullish. I mean, the channels I'm following, the GB300, that system is supposedly going to be some crazy revenue. And at the moment, it's not delay. Nvidia is continuing to move forward with the GB300, and we've seen from certain earnings calls that the second half is going to be some massive capital expenditure in forms of what's going to be going in for Nvidia. So I'm very excited for the long-term potential of this company.
Really?
Let's see, what else do we have here? Anything else? Any other questions that I missed, that maybe you want to pull up?
You still own Palantir, right?
Yeah, but not much of it. I sold very similar to you. I wasn't, some companies I don't mind dollar cost averaging out, just due to the exposure of my AI portfolio. So I haven't added recently. I haven't really sold anything, and I'm not really keeping. It's one of those stocks that I took down to the position where I don't even need to really look too much into it.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I'm on the other side. It's the same Nvidia story. I have one share of Palantir that I bought before the last earnings report, but and I still think it's green. Well, of course it's green since we're near all-time high. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, Palantir. I mean, I'd love to reopen a bigger position in it, but I just find it difficult right now to justify opening up a bigger position in the company. Of course, if I still had my position, wouldn't mind letting it ride what I have, and then take the profits. But okay, you live, and you learn.
Yeah, so we had a question about Broadcom. I didn't see it, Neo. If you can pull it up, sometimes I'm not getting all the questions pulled up here on the chat thing. Sometimes, Neo. So if you might see it, feel free to pull it up. In the meantime, I want to take this question from Eric. So Eric, would the announcement of a new chip be bad for price? Waited a long time for Blackwell full rate production results. Eric, I'm guessing you're meaning if a new chip comes out for Nvidia, does that mean bad news for the Blackwell platform? If that's the question, the answer is no. Nvidia already tells us what is expected in forms of chip development. This year, we're getting the GB300 Ultra at the second half of this year. Next year, we have the Vera Rubin. The year after that, we have the Vera Rubin Ultra. The year after that, we have, I forget their name, but it's going to be the Vera...
the Feynman?
Yeah, Vera Feynman chip. So we already know for every year we're going to see these productions. And we're seeing that because the AI demand is so strong, even when there is that transition, it doesn't really impact the growth rate of Nvidia so far. Now, I believe that will continue to be the case, Eric, if two things are happening. One, the first thing is these generations of chips are a lot better than the previous generation. So Blackwell right now was heaps better than Hopper. So Blackwell was way better. So customers are not going to just, hey, look, I'm not going to buy it. But if it's so much better, you're going to have it. The second thing, Neo and Eric, I would say is, so first is chip innovation. Second is AI innovation. If there is more AI innovation globally, it's just going to push more AI demand in theory. So as long as you have those two things working for each other, Nvidia releasing new chips, I don't think would be bad for the price. What would be bad would be, Neo, hearing anything about maybe some delays due to maybe some issues with the design process or something like that. But at the same time, Neo, that would be more of short-term pain, because at the moment, even though we do have AMD, no one's really a competitor, at least from what's live right now. So it kind of gives NVIDIA some buffer room. I think NVIDIA innovating at some rapid levels, Neo, has created a buffer room that even if they have a small slip up, as long as they're able to get themselves right back up or fix everything right back up, it wouldn't be much of an issue for the company.
Did you know that Broadcom was up 71% since the April lows?
I didn't know it was that large. Is
It's
it up more
crazy.
than how long is how up is Nvidia on since April lows?
I think
Not trying to compare the two, but just curious.
40, I think something like that since the lows 57.
So Broadcom has been doing better if you bought at that Broadcom low. I wonder why Broadcom took a massive hit compared to maybe I
Everything
would have
took
expected. Yeah, but I is it trading? I know Nvidia is not at its 52-week high. It's still about $15 off, I believe.
Yeah,
Is Broadcom at his 52-week high?
very close.
Very close. All right.
Very, very close. $10
I'm
difference
pretty.
or something like that.
Yeah, but yeah, we can see a lot closer than your Nvidia returns. Hey,
But
I'm
it's
hoping
crazy.
Nvidia is gonna do this instead. It's gonna get closer to that 52-week high.
No, but I mean, it's interesting because when Broadcom was around those prices previously, we talked about this and we said it doesn't make sense, right? The stock just ran up ahead. It's a great company, great partnerships, new hyperscaler, etc., etc. It dropped, and now we're back to that. I know there was some news that came out a couple of weeks ago. I think that positively affected Broadcom. I can't remember what. Um, that's probably something to do with custom ASICs.
I know they
Maybe
had a buyback program. That was one thing.
yeah, that
Um,
increased.
then yeah, I don't know unless there's just maybe a new potential customer on the ASIC market. Um, I think was if I had to guess something that drives the stock, it would be just that. It would be some new rumors or floating around that a new ASIC customer, like maybe OpenAI or somebody. I forget who their customer list is already, but that would be kind of maybe the other thing that would drive the stock.
Yeah, I wonder what where Marvell is at today. 65, up
Yeah.
7.5% today. By the way, no, on the week. Sorry, on the
On
week.
the week, yeah, this one I saw was rallying a nice amount yesterday after the EU news. Yes,
Yeah,
some of these companies do have a nice amount of exposure to certain industries in that space.
Lisa in the house. Hello, hello, welcome.
Hello, Lisa. I don't know why, Neil. For a quick second, I thought you mentioned Lisa Su. I'm like,
Lisa
she's
Su.
on watching. Like, of course she's watching. Got to
I
say
mean,
everything nice now.
we have
Um,
two AMD whales here, so
but Lisa, not that I was unsurprised with your. Or I'm still pretty excited. I wouldn't prefer any Lisa over another Lisa. If that. Hey Neil, that's for you. Lame.
but if you want, you can you can. Hey Neil, um, have you ever done a video on Adobe? I have a couple of times actually. I opened a position in it about 6 months ago. The company itself seems strong. It looks really good on paper, but you have an opinion on its future. Well, before I answer, I'll throw it to someone that did open a position and now closed it, which is this guy right here, Jose.
Yeah, I did close my position on Adobe Neo. Main reason is during that April lows. Well, first the reason for closing it. I want to start off that it wasn't really for much of a bearish take, in my opinion, Neo. During the April lows, Adobe obviously took a hit. It did, but a lot of the other stocks that I believe were more a higher growth rate were down a lot more. Which I'm actually excited to do. So typically, Neil, what ends up doing is when stock market goes down a lot, I tend to escape out of my very lower beta stocks, or the ones that are less volatile, and move them into higher beta if I don't have the cash position available to do it. And my thought process is, once we start to see the kind of that green turn, these growth stocks would have a higher rally. Now, that's usually one of my last resorts, Neil. First is the influx of cash. Once I feel like, I put too much cash in, I start to do that. So it was one. It helps me be one of the last moves to do because obviously stocks can continue to go down. So no bearish reason on it. I think this company is going to continue to do well, but it's not going to be a growth story, Neil. That's the only thing I would say. I mean, they have a lot of data from all these big players. They're a massive cash flow machine. They have huge subscription margins. They have obviously the cloud is great. The data to provide kind of their AI innovation with Firefly and some of the other models that they're doing. I think they have growth opportunities to continue to not only grow in revenue, but also grow their moat. Now that growth, Neo, I think is going to be in the teens levels. It's not going to be like a crazy growth story like some of the other AI plays. A great company, bullish. I do believe it will beat the market in the foreseeable future. But I think there's better growth stories for me, and that's why I ended up leaving the Adobe stock.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, I didn't open a position. I had a position in Adobe a while ago, but I did not reopen one this year or in the last year, I'd say. The reason is one, it despite it being quite a solid business, billions in free cash flow, buying back shares, still growing, right? Every quarter is a record quarter revenue wise. Like you, I just didn't feel the need to buy it. Um, there were other opportunities out there where growth was better. For me specifically, an Nebius, an AMD are some of the newer companies in the portfolio, and they provide me with way more growth than an Adobe. Plus, an Adobe also still has that question on AI monetization, and hopefully that's something that gets addressed in the upcoming quarters. It can still do very well. That's the thing, because it still is a very good business. But just because it's a good business doesn't mean I have to buy into it. Although Intuit is also a pretty good company, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be if I don't know if I had no control, I wouldn't be mad owning the stock if that makes sense. Like I don't think I'm gonna lose all my money on Adobe. Again, I think there's the opportunity to beat the market. But I'm not just looking for that small opportunity. I'm looking for those massive players, but that also comes with higher risk, right? You kind of pay for more growth with more risk on the other end as well. So it all depends, I guess. If you're looking for a software play that's massive free cash flow generative, that has a strong, what I would say, branding within itself, and has the ability to grow in the AI market to increase its core product, but not at a high level, I think Adobe is the one to look at.
Agreed. I do quickly want to touch on this one, the painful one, the PayPal. Am I still bullish? Am I still optimistic for PayPal? I am. Now, luckily for me, I did not buy near these prices, nor even here. I am still green on PayPal, believe it or not, despite it really not moving for a while. Yes, it was lower. Yes, we are making our way back up above that $70 mark. The 200-day moving average sits at 72. So if it can get that big green candle to close above it, that would be great. We started the year closer to $90. So the stock this year is down quite a lot, despite it being cheap in my eyes and valuation wise. It's not just in my eyes, valuation wise, even at $90, it was very cheap. $71, $72, still very, very cheap. I like Alex Chris. I like what he's doing with the business. And I still think that this should be a triple digit stock. I think I'll be proven right, but I will agree and admit that it is taking a bit longer than what I expected. But eventually, again, if eventually I do get what I predicted or the reason why I bought the stock, then I don't mind waiting. Because if it's true, what I'm thinking, if it's true that it is extremely undervalued, that they are getting, well, margins are already getting better. It's just that growth decelerated because they're pricing to value, but that should change in the back half of the year. So if in the back half of the year, suddenly we do get a reacceleration in growth, I think the market will start paying attention and maybe paying a premium for the stock. Might be wishful thinking for a lot of people. What is this?
Tell them stop calling you. Come on, Neo.
It's Jensen.
Some level. I would be so mad.
But yeah, I'm still very optimistic on PayPal. I have a decent position in it as well. but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew says he just saw a commercial with Will.
Hmm.
Was the commercial any good, Matthew? Let me know. Yeah, Neil, I
PayPal
mean,
everywhere.
if
That's
the
the
fintech market
commercial.
was one that kind of excited me at first, but I don't know. It's for me. I guess since I didn't look too much into it, Neo started to like scare me off with competition and kind of all these international players. I mean, PayPal though is the one of the few that I use. I think it's the only one I actually use. I mean, I use PayPal. I use Venmo, which is PayPal,
Yep.
and yeah, I don't think I use any other kind of like wallet to wallet or other platforms like that. Never opened up a what's that other one? Block,
Cash App.
Cash App.
They're losing out to Venmo. Actually, I actually thought they would do much better, and this is the chart for Block. It's also a stock that, yeah, I also have to zoom out quite a lot for you to actually grasp. But it's probably the same thing. Like it went super high during the pandemic,
Yeah,
crashed, but it was very appealing at those prices right here because it was still growing fast. Today, although they are expected to become more profitable and return more value to shareholders, it is not growing fast at all anymore. So that was the previous case. Oh, PayPal is not growing fast, Block is. But now, we've seen last quarter, Block is not even growing that fast anymore. So yeah.
yeah. Neil, I got a question here for the Broad. There was a Broadcom question. Do I think Nvidia may go head to head with Broadcom over the ASIC and SPU? Head to head, I don't think so anymore. Back then, I used to. Neil, I used to think that Nvidia would enter in some form of ASIC complete solution. I think with the NV Link, it shows me what NVIDIA is really trying to do. It's kind of trying to go beyond the ASIC market. I think it understands that maybe a lot of its players don't want to completely depend on NVIDIA's ecosystem. So I think they understand that you're going to have your Broadcoms, you're going to have your Marvells create these XPUs, these other types of AI accelerators. Now, what NVIDIA is trying to do is still trying to get a piece of the pie. It's like, hey, sure, you build your own type of chip, but to be able to maybe scale it out and do some other cool AI things that we can do really, really well, we can actually license that out. So it's kind of a new, I don't know if it, I wouldn't consider it a new derivative, but it is form of a derivative outside of the traditional XPU and ASIC market. So NVIDIA is entering in that space in its own avenue without having too much disruption to a company like Broadcom or Marvell.
I do want to show a little bit about ELF. So ELF is also reporting after hours, I believe. ELF Beauty, yeah, makeup stuff. And I'm also impressed here with the reaction. Stock is up 80%, close to 80% since the lows. We have here David saying that he's up 52% from buying the dip. So congratulations on that. It's back to $92. Now again, this thing can go both ways, right? Can
Nice,
go,
David.
yeah, very nice actually. Maybe you should go buy some makeup to say thank you to Elf. But yeah, this one it's not one I own. It's one that I follow a little bit. I know a lot of people are following in the retail space. It's one where maybe they still have issues. A lot of their stuff does come from China, so tariffs are definitely going to impact them. They had in the last quarter issues with their marketing, let's call it, campaigns on TikTok. There was that fear of a TikTok ban, plus there was the California fires that took over TikTok's algorithm, let's say, and that hurt their performance. So a couple of things to look out for tonight. Some weakness, and I think you could see a retracement. And if they have some positive comments, especially on the tariff side of things, then I could see this thing rally back above $100 for sure.
So Neil, I mean, I don't follow this stock too much, but what was like the massive reason the stock took a huge hit? Was it just overvaluation concerns, or was there something that generally happened to the business that created kind of this negative sentiment out of that rally?
Yeah. So first up, this was a fast-growing company, fast-growing stock, fast-growing company, and you know what happens, of course, when a company does not grow as fast as previously, and the stock was expensive, back at $200, of course. Plus, you had deceleration in growth. Then, like I said, you had issues, China issues, supply chain issues. Tariff are now going to impact the business as well. They depend heavily on TikTok, whether it's influencer campaigns, just campaigns in general on TikTok. And if that gets impacted, again, because of a potential TikTok ban, or all the influencers are talking about the California fires, which is what happened last quarter, well, quarter and a half ago, and that's why it impacted the quarter, then you get hit. Because if you go from being a growth story to a non-growth story, then you're back to being just a makeup stock, and that's it. And the market just doesn't want to pay up for that. The market thinks that, okay, then your growth will just continue to decelerate. We've lost trust. It was a huge miss. Guidance revised. So you mix all of that together and you get such a big impact. But on the flip side, it is still growing, right? It is still growing much faster than an Ulta Beauty, for example. And so I think that's also why we've seen such a huge rebound from the April lows, 80% rebound. But tonight, in an hour and something, you'll get real answers. Whether it was just a one-time thing and whether or not they are prepared for the rest of the year when it comes to the tariff impact on the business.
I think any company that just reports earnings today just needs to put Nvidia's earnings on their phone, and that's it. That's the only thing the market cares about. But we can see it does seem like there are some bulls out here for this company, and like you mentioned, fundamentals are still haven't been too destroyed. But yeah, we can see the fundamentals are good for ELF. We also see No mentions that girls spend more money to look pretty when the economy gets bad. Interesting statistics there, No.
Actually, you know who could provide very good data on that? The company we watch.
With every report earnings.
Only fans could give us a lot of information on consumer sentiment, I think. But yeah, now fundamentals still look okay for ELF, but tariffs, especially from China, well, changes the whole story here, right? Because if you had margins of, let's say, 50%, and now you have a huge tariff impact, well, forget about your 50%, unless you diversify from China, but that won't happen overnight either. So all of that you have to take into consideration, especially going into this earnings report. We, of course, also had Salesforce reporting tonight after hours. I think that's also an interesting one on the software side of the business. And Russell, don't worry, I'll be off the stream when the game starts, which is in 14 minutes.
Oh, that's why you agreed to be ending this at 3:00. I see, Neo. I see it. And here we know. Mentioned, I know semiconductors, but they sell in Target, Ulta, etc. So that's the great thing about the community, right? You can get different knowledge and topics from all different types of stocks. So appreciate the insight there. I have this question here I wanted to tackle really, really quick, and I lost it. It was something about thoughts from Marvell Technology. So if you see, oh, here we go, Topper, I got it. Or Chopper, something, 18. What do you think about Marvell? I think we talked about this yesterday, Neo. We did a live stream, right? Yesterday, Neo? Did I see you less than 24? Yeah, I don't know.
2 days in a row, and tomorrow we're back, baby.
We're back. Oh my goodness. But for Marvell, I think it is a mature company, so it's not a completely risky play. But I think it's one of those stocks that right now, the growth story for this is the ASIC market, kind of your custom XPUs, your custom AI chips. They're doing really well with the Trainium 2. I'm hearing a lot of thoughts, channels that the Trainium 2 is going to do really well. Now, unfortunately, we're also hearing a lot of negative news that this might be kind of their last AI chip with Amazon, the Trainium 2. So for a few years from now, they might not have this tailwind of this customer. If during earnings tomorrow they mention some negative sentiment about the AI space, and maybe potentially losing AI customers, then that could be very bearish for the stock. In the other hand, Neil, if they announce new customers, if they showcase that there's AI chip market is still pretty healthy for them, I think this opportunity. Did we talk about it about 15 minutes ago? I don't remember talking about this one. Did we?
Marvel, yeah, of course, man. I showed you that it rebounded, and we said, yeah.
Oh, but we
rebounded
looked at 7%. Yeah. We talked about it as price movement. That's not really talking about it.
No, but no, we did talk about it, that they report tomorrow. We did talk about the Amazon part of it.
Did we talk about the Amazon part of it? No, we didn't.
Today and yesterday.
Yesterday we did. I don't remember today.
But continue.
I forgot where I lost, but yeah, I think I like it if you're looking for like a high risk, high reward type style. And you believe they can kind of take some market share or be an interesting player in the AI XPU market, which I think they can. And I think now the stock being down over 50% from its highs, I think valuation looks pretty attractive for that risk to reward ratio that I kind of talk about a lot.
But I mean, is it high risk though? Because it's still it's a good business. Yeah. Answer me when you're muted. That's great.
Thank you, Neil. You're the best. I think that's why I mentioned the risk to reward ratio now is a lot more in my favor. I think you are already expecting a lot of negative news from it. I still believe some negative news could create this stock to go down in the double-digit percentage still. I think there's still that possibility because you still have the hope that they will get some of these chips. So it's not like a quantum high risk, high reward style, but it's not like I don't know who's a safe play. It's also not like in my opinion, like in Nvidia, I do see their leadership in all these plays where I would put a little bit more reward to the side. So somewhere not in between, maybe a little bit closer to more mature, like you mentioned. So I like it, but will I make it like a 10% of my overall portfolio? I don't know. Maybe I might buy it some. So. But I don't know if I'll make it a 10% just yet.
I mean, tomorrow, I guess tomorrow, if it's good and guidance is good, this thing shoots up, right? After it being beaten down so much, I guess it shoots up.
Yeah, sorry, Neil. Now I'm debating if I should even add some. Let's look at Marvel. But yeah, any other questions here, Neil? We got 10 minutes in. What are you laughing about?
You.
Let's see here. So, Boggs, thoughts on NVTS? Did we talk about this one yet, Neil? Before I mentioned something, you're like, "Yo, we talked about it 2 minutes ago."
Today.
All right. Thank you, Neil. Thank you. Now, I'm surprised it's actually holding up pretty well, Neil.
Today, yeah, it's only down 1.7%.
Yeah, it's to me. I mean, it's that growth opportunity, that partnership collaboration with Nvidia is interesting. I just want to make sure that investors know a few things. It's not an exclusive partnership. Nvidia is working with a lot of companies to be able to create this 900 volt system solution, or 800 volt, my apologies, system solution for the data center. So there's a lot of competition here. It doesn't promise any revenues from this collaboration if in theory Navitas doesn't really perform well and the other players do better results, then most of that revenue is most likely going to go to that other player instead. But now with kind of that partnership, at least opens up the optionality of Nvidia using them in the future. And if Nvidia is going to be as big as many people think, this is a company that's less than the market cap of $2 billion, I would think. I don't know where we're at right now in market cap for this company, but I'm going to guess based on the movement, it's definitely a super small play.
1.2.
So 1.2, yeah. So becoming a massive customer for Nvidia can definitely create some very, very bullish sentiment for this. So for me, this is more of like that high risk, high reward. This is more of a little bit of a gamble now, Neil. Wait, I wouldn't even put Marvell in this list, right? This is still better than Quantum, in my opinion, right? It's not as far as Quantum in forms of Navitas, but it's nowhere near like that Nvidia or Marvell. So something like this, I in my portfolio would barely make it to 1 to 2% if I was to ever purchase, but I don't think I am at the moment. This market is very competitive.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it can completely change the risk reward profile if suddenly we have like a real number coming from Nvidia, like $1 billion or whatnot. If this is $1 billion company, $1 billion is a pretty big deal. Compared to a quantum stock that's already worth what, 7, 10. I don't know how big these things have become recently, where they barely generate any revenue, yet they were $10 billion, $8 billion. The potential is there.
Don't be mean to the quantum names, Neil, okay? Don't. They're over. I'm pretty sure some of them are beating my portfolio. I don't know. There's probably some that are.
They're beating everyone's portfolio. They're up 10x. I mean, look at this. We get 6 months ago, this thing was $1. Now it's 14. Of course, it's beating the portfolio, but it still only generates a couple of $1 million, and it's worth billions of dollars. So, yeah, go figure. Maybe investing shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't, right? Just flip. I don't know. Just I don't know.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, Box. But again, I mean, for me, this is a stock that is. Oh, sorry. Box mentioned. Thanks for the input. I don't want to be bearish with it, but I think the risk to reward ratio is not on my end. I think at the moment this is more of a coin flip now. Is where does this collaboration go from here? If the collaboration goes very positive with the Nvidia announcement, then this can really kind of move even higher. But like I mentioned, I consider it a coin flip because it's a competitive play. You have a lot of other companies playing suit in this market, a lot of other partnerships that Nvidia has made. Infineon, Texas, STM, I forget, ST Microelectronics, I think was another one. So it wasn't a single play. So it is a coin flip. And if you want to kind of go with that coin flip, there is the possibility of it.
Yeah, quantum. It's either you love it or you hate it. Well, not you hate it, you question it. But I'm very bullish on quantum computing. I own a big quantum computing player, this one right here. You also own it. Google, big quantum computing player. Another big one here, Nvidia, another big quantum computing player. I'll show you another one. Amazon, another big quantum computing player. So yeah, we both have exposure to the future of quantum.
The future, computing. Yeah, I agree. And I think, I mean, I've done a few videos on quantum, and I've talked about it where I don't think it's fake technology. I mean, obviously you have massive engineers and things. It's definitely going to be a revolutionary product. My question, I think my style is it an investable technology right now? Or is this like investing in AI in 1980s? I mean, in 1980s, there was artificial intelligence. I mean, I think around that era is when you had kind of like that ping pong AI solution. In some other eras, you kind of had like the AI for chess and kind of showcasing that AI would be able to be a kind of chess player. So the question is it's not just, is the technology going to change the world? I do believe it can. Is when is it going to happen, and what are you willing to pay for it at the time? And I think that's the question that is pretty hard to answer right now. Raw just wants to say ASML, guys. I think ASML, I mean, I don't know if you want our thoughts, if you just want to shout out ASML, if you just want to shout out guys from ASML, the engineers. So, but my raw thoughts here are, I like ASML as a stock. I do. There is a pretty popular fin Twitter growth. I forget.
From growth to value.
Yeah, growth. Yeah, he just did a free article on this on ASML. I haven't read it, but I know the guy has been doing really well with a lot of these tech players and multi-baggers. But ASML, I do believe, falls in that multi-bag or list opportunity. It's kind of like that, not a safe play. The equipment space is always cyclical, Neil. There's some years where you don't build fabs, and that sucks. I think now we're in the cycle where you are going to be building a lot of fabs globally, and ASML is going to benefit from it. And we see the company has done a lot and a lot of purchasing of stocks. So I don't own it. If I'm looking for maybe a more safer growth play in the future, I think ASML would fall into that list. I think right now, Neil, I'm a little hungry for that growth, that those growth plays right now, because I do believe right now we're really moving into this industry.
I mean, the more we look at these charts, the more I'm thinking like, well, this April crash was really a good buying opportunity. Like ASML at below 600 was great. Nvidia below 100. I mean, yeah, pretty good buying opportunity for everyone that really wanted to open a position in specific companies that just were too expensive before, and they got a nice opportunity. IBM has been doing quite well. Look at this. I took them.
Yeah, this one took a while. This one surprised. Is this what you're hoping for your Intel, Neo? Is this what? Be honest, this is what you're hoping, right?
I mean, imagine me in 20 years. I told you.
I mean, you won't be. You're 50. You shouldn't be talking like that when you're 50 in 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
50 is the new 30.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took like they reached all-time highs April 2013, and then they surpassed that only late last year. That's crazy.
That is wild. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some shareholder out there holding for such a long time that just held and finally.
Well, they could have bought lower.
Yeah, or I mean, probably, who knows, the dividend that it got dollar cost average in, and now they're pretty happy with that IBM position.
In case you forgot about Marvell,
are we getting that again?
Alexander,
I don't know if I talked about it today.
For Jose's sake, just go watch the start and the middle of the live stream.
Just click anytime throughout this stream. I'm probably talking about it as if it was the first time. You have a high chance of finding it really quickly.
And if you don't want to do that, just when the stream is over, just copy paste the link of the stream into Gemini, and just ask Gemini when we talked about Marvell, and it will show you.
Yeah, I'd be like, I don't know what this guy Jose said. This is what I think he tried to say.
I'm sorry, I did not quite get that. Do you mean Disney Marvel superheroes?
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go have quick lunch, dinner before the rest of the day.
My final. I'm stressing enough here, so let's go. You good luck with your Nvidia.
All right, you good luck with your stuff.
And we will be back tomorrow before the market opens, actually.
Yeah, tomorrow will be the first breakfast. Today was the fourth breakfast.
Yeah. So thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it.
Really do.
Yeah. And
thanks for staying with my nonsense.
We will talk about Marvell tomorrow.
If you want